I see it.
It's live.
All right, I think it's live because it sent me a thing that says that it's live. So fuck it, it's live. I don't
write it. We'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
I don't know what the fuck happened. Sorry, everybody. We were live, and whenever Luis jumped out, it went off. I don't know why. Makes no sense. But we're back, and we're going to continue actually talking about Spider-Guy. What I was talking about the Raimi, the fourth movie of Raimi that was going to happen, and then it got canceled, and everyone left, and then they did the Amazing Spider-Man crap, and it made me excited to see them actually do Vulture and do it well, because friggin' Michael Keaton was awesome as Vulture.
He was great. He was totally believable as a good guy driven to the brink of bankruptcy and having to do what he could to feed his family.
Yeah, I dug that. He's probably one of the most relatable villains in terms of that we've gotten in the MCU so far, because he's just a blue-collar guy who was trying to put food on the table for his family, and his business pretty much gets put out by Tony Stark in Damage Control.
Yeah.
I like that they tied Damage Control in there, too, because I know I heard things about them putting Damage Control in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I didn't realize that it was going to happen here. So that's really cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a specific scene. Did your theater gasp audibly when he walks in through that door when Peter was taking his girl to homecoming?
Several people did.
I was one of them where it was dead quiet in the theater and you just heard my voice go, "Oh, fuck."
I went, "Whoa." And I was like, "Whoa."
I went, "What a twist." No, I'm just kidding. I totally didn't.
What an interesting twist this movie.
I didn't see it coming.
Me either. I loved it. I just thought that was great.
Like, I did not see that coming. And then that scene in the car where he slowly the tension builds up a lot, and he slowly starts to realize who Peter really is.
Yeah.
You just feel everybody in the theater start getting really uncomfortable, and then when he finally puts two and two together and he turns around and like his whole demeanor and personality just does a complete 180 from what it was before. It was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, Keaton's great at that.
He was really good in this. He was great.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed just the fact that he was able to find out, like, on his own who Peter was. So it's not just, continually people just being stupid, and not realizing the clues, the context clues and whatnot.
Yeah, how he solved it, and just how Peter was twisting in the wind in the back seat, just stunned and not able to respond properly. That's like how anybody would react. He was absolutely a deer in the headlights, and he was caught, and he couldn't figure a way out of it, and that's how it would be in real life. So I thought that was just handled brilliantly.
I love the fact also that the mask, that he can actually emote with the mask, so he doesn't have to take it off every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that always got me about the Raimi movies, where he goes in he's wearing the mask for like 5 minutes, and then out of nowhere he takes it off, or they find some excuse to like rip off a piece of the mask, or a villain takes off the mask or something like that. I like that they kind of found their out around it by incorporating Stark.
Hey, babe.
He called you babe.
Not you. Hey, we're talking about Spider-Man. So if I recall, when we watched the new movie, you weren't too crazy about it.
6 out of 10.
She said 6 out of 10. So what was wrong with this movie? Well, what made you like it less than I did?
I don't know. I already forgot like most of it.
So
I guess that's therein lies a problem.
Did you think that Michael Keaton did a good job as the Vulture?
I wish they had more character development. I remember not being pleased with the ending fighting scene because I remember saying they fought with the plane more than with each other because they were like, trying to stay afloat. Yeah, it just was very anticlimactic in the end, but I think he did a great job. I just wish we kind of saw more of him.
Okay. So Michael Keaton was great, but there wasn't enough of Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and the fighting scene was...
The fighting scene was not enough fighting between them. It was fighting with a plane.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting.
But how was the kid playing Spider-Man?
He did good.
How is he compared to Tobey Maguire?
Well, it's just Tobey Maguire. That's the very first superhero movie I saw in theaters, so it's just...
So Tobey is like...
nostalgic.
Tobey is the
like
standard.
It's like trying to say, like, Christian Bale is someone else's Batman. If you grew up watching Michael Keaton, Christian Bale was great, but if Michael Keaton's your Batman, Michael Keaton's your Batman.
So Tobey Maguire is your Spider-Man, and no one can do better.
Right.
How was Marissa Tomei?
I don't know, you barely saw her.
Smoking.
How was Childish Gambino?
I feel like I'm being judged.
Well, because you have... The reason I'm asking you these questions is because you have a completely unbiased view of this movie. Like, we're all complete nerds who are just happy because it's Spider-Man on the screen and it doesn't completely suck balls. And so I'm asking for your opinion because you don't have the same bias. Your only bias is just that you grew up with the Sam Raimi movies and you loved those movies.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you can look at this more from like the perspective of a regular moviegoer that's not really into nerd shit specifically.
I will say he did. I much liked him more than Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield came off as like creepy.
Andrew Garfield was creepy.
He was a douche.
Yeah.
So would you say that this one's better than both of the Andrew Garfield movies?
Yes.
Would you say it's better than Spider-Man 3?
Yes.
So for us, this movie places in the same. Like, it's after 1 and 2, so it's our third favorite. But she likes it less in general than I do.
Okay.
Because I gave it like an 8 out of 10, and you gave it a 6.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a big thing when you were asking me, I felt like on the spot. It just, I don't know, wasn't very memorable. But yeah, I mean, the first film, I feel like, Spider-Man 1 and 2, I liked 2 better. Batman Begins, Dark Knight Returns, I liked Dark Knight better.
So when there's a second one, you're expecting you'll probably like the second one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought that you'd give a better interpretation of a review than a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, those were valid criticisms. That was
Because
interesting.
everyone here is just, has their tongue hanging out. They love it.
Love is a strong word, rather.
I love it.
It's especially like a nice aftertaste and a nice pleasant surprise after the Andrew Garfield movies, because if that's the taste in your mouth, it's complete shit, where this one is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think piggybacking off the previous 2, it may seem a lot better, but if you completely remove the 2, I don't know. That's my opinion.
Would Spider-Man 2 is your number 1, right? Or no, 1, they're about equal?
They're about equal.
What would you say? Like, those are like, what, a 9 out of 10 or something?
Yeah. And
then this one drops all the way to a 6. And then what's after this? Like,
Spider-Man 3 is probably like a 4, and then Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't even finish watching 2. Like, it was that bad for me.
I thought you watched it with me in the theater. So the Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 were probably like a 2 and a 0.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Megan's scale for Spider-Man movies.
Harsh movie critic.
She is a harsh movie critic. She walked out on me when we were trying to watch Death Proof the other day.
And I love Tarantino.
And she loves Tarantino and most of the actresses and actors in that movie.
Yeah.
And she walked out on it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so she is pretty harsh. You came back at the very end, and you only watched the last race.
Now, did they split those 2 movies apart now? You don't have to get Grindhouse
Right. You don't have to watch the Planet Terror movie. You can only watch Death Proof.
I loved them both.
I haven't seen either.
Oh my gosh, I loved them both. Who did the first one? Was that Del Toro?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Okay.
Like I'm very harsh because Death Proof first half was set in Austin, which is where I live in my home that I love. I love Tarantino. I love all the people in it.
Kurt Russell.
Rose McGowan, Rosario Dawson. I love all of them. But it was just very slow, and it's a Tarantino film, which is saying something.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's good to have a guest critic. I like that.
Yeah, I really wanted. Yeah, she just came back from working out. I really wanted for Megan to give her opinion because I knew that she thought less of it than all of us did, and I figured that she could give a good alternate take on it because it's, you know, it's good to have a non-geek take.
Yeah, that is good.
But for me, I would say, you know, 1 and 2 were around the same. I'd say a 9, and then this one was like an 8. Spider-Man 3 is like a 6. Amazing Spider-Man 1 is like a 4, and then ASM 2 is like a 2.
Who is the villain in Amazing Spider-Man 2? Was that Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, it was Electro, and then Dane DeHaan was Harry Osborn. He was kind of the Green Goblin as well.
Okay. Okay. What I loved the ending of this movie, the very, very ending when Aunt May walks in and goes, "What the fuck?" And then the credits start right there. That was great.
That was pretty funny.
I just laughed out loud at that. I loved that.
I like that they're just flat out going, look, Aunt May's not an idiot. Eventually she would catch on to this.
Right.
You know, because you're a teenager. You're gonna eventually slip up, and Aunt May is eventually gonna find out. So I really dug that they just got that out of the way eventually, and it's like, okay, cool. So we can move past this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the very end.
Did you guys think that they would go full Civil War at the end and they have him reveal his identity? For a split second, I thought they were gonna do it.
Oh, I mean, maybe later, but not so soon.
The press conference bit.
Oh. Yeah, I love that he turned the Avengers down. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool because then you get to have him stay kind of small time on street level.
Also,
friendly neighborhood.
Nice little nod to Miles Morales. I mean, it was. I know we'll never get a Miles Morales movie, like a Miles live action Morales movie. I doubt we'll ever actually see it. But still, it was a nice little nod to him.
Where do you start with Miles Morales? Where do you start reading him?
In the Death of Ultimate Spider-Man, there's an issue of Ultimate Comics Fallout that has Miles first appear, and then after that, if you're looking just for easy collected editions, you can grab the 3 Ultimate collections. It's Ultimate Spider-Man. What are they called? Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Collections.
Okay.
1 through, and they go through his initial run where he was still in the Ultimate Universe before he went into the 616 universe.
Okay. Because I am not well versed at all in Miles Morales.
He's great. He's a great character. That's another highly recommended book from me.
Okay.
The collections are pretty easy to get. I think they're still going to be on in-stock trades for roughly maybe $20 a piece.
Oh, they're that big.
Yeah, they're pretty thick.
Okay.
He's been around for a few years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was around since maybe a couple years before I left Houston. So 5 years maybe.
I want to say 2010, 2011, in that ballpark?
Somewhere around there, maybe.
But I thought that was a good little nod to him. Michael Keaton was great. How did you feel about the MJ bit at the end?
I don't really know if it's meant to really make her MJ or if it's meant to just be like fucking with people.
I think it was just to fuck with people. Because they knew they would get some backlash if that was actually MJ. So I think it was just like a little nod or something to fuck with people.
Well, they already did because they made a they kind of made the comment that was a thing back in production.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made the MJ comment in production, so I was expecting them for her to say something about, you know, call me MJ. And people already did get upset.
Jeez. People
they're like, you know, why is, you know, Mary Jane completely not even Mary Jane? But yeah, it's like, you know, there's a comment on there that says I think she's the MCU's MJ. She's just not Mary Jane. So that to say that, you know, there could be, you know, this, you know, bombshell redhead girl next door that winds up appearing later on, but it's not her. But she could just be another original character, whatever. Like, she had a really good role in the movie. I enjoyed like every line that she had.
I love the fact that Flash wasn't like a jock, that he was just a rich douchebag in this movie.
Yeah.
He was intelligent, but he was a rich douchebag.
Yeah, he wasn't some big dumb jock. Because
they go to a school that's basically for smart kids, like extremely intelligent kids. And it wouldn't make any sense for Flash to be a dumb jock like he is in the original comics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I did like the, you know, he's the, I think people were calling him like an Instagram bully and stuff like that. Like he's the new age like internet bullies. He's a smart kid. He's full of himself, and he still picks on people, but it's completely different. And he thinks, you know, because he's rich and he has a nice car and whatever, that like he's cooler than everyone else. It's a complete opposite of what, you know, Flash in the comics was. Because he just thought he was cooler than everyone else because he was muscular and a jock and handsome.
Remender redeems him later on.
Yes, yeah. Remender's Venom was a really nice series, and it did play really well with all the different aspects that they introduced for Flash throughout the years. It played well with him being a veteran and his alcoholism and his relationship with Betty Brant as well. Really good stuff. And I do want to because several people have now mentioned Mysterio in the comments. I wanted to mention how badly I really wanted for Bruce Campbell to wind up being Mysterio in the original movies.
Oh, that would have been fantastic. Oh, I would have loved to have seen that.
Is Mysterio the next villain?
They haven't said.
Yeah, there's been nothing on the next Spider-Man movie except for the fact that it's a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, in 2019, I think is what they said, or something like that. That was the next one. I would love to see. I think Mysterio would be a fantastic villain. Well, obviously, we're getting hints of Shocker. Well, I mean, we're getting hints of Scorpion here. Personally, would love to see Kraven.
Yeah,
I would love to. They could write such a badass Kraven if they really put their mind to it and adapt Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea a lot. That's really a villain out of the box that we haven't seen portrayed at all.
Kraven would be so good, and he would work in this universe too.
I do want to mention though that I really, really like the fact that they did not have the villain die in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All too often in superhero movies, somehow the villain dies, whether it be by the hand of the hero directly or indirectly, or if something else happens, they wind up dying. And it's annoying because then it just takes them out of the game, takes them out of the universe, and you can't reuse them for anything later on. But they did not kill the Vulture, and they, going forward, you know, it's very clear that they have a intention to give us a secret or a Sinister Six, which would be awesome.
I like. I'm in total agreement with you. Thor: The Dark World, and to a lesser extent, Guardians of the Galaxy. They killed two great villains that they could have done so much more with.
Right.
Especially Thor: The Dark World, because Malekith was so underused in that movie. He wasn't even an afterthought in that movie.
Like they've done a few times. Like, you know, they kept Loki around, obviously, and Red Skull is floating around there somewhere. I'm sure he'll come back. But like, just most other movies, the villains die, and then you're like, great, now, you know, the Green Goblin died, and we have the crappy lesser version from Harry. Mm-hmm. Cool. Dr. Octopus is dead, and now they can't use him for anything.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, they continue that that trend. And the only reason I brought that up was because if they do Kraven's Last Hunt, of course, the ending we all know on that one.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if they decide to do something like that, maybe they save it for later on and introduce Kraven somewhere else, and then have him maybe as part of the Sinister Six. Give him that hunt against Spider-Man for a little while. But I would love to see that adapted, because that is, bar none, my favorite Spider-Man story of all time.
Kraven's Last Hunt?
Yes.
So who would you guys like to see as the next villain, then?
I don't know. You got me thinking about Kraven. I don't want to see Shocker or Scorpion. I want to see Kraven now.
You want to see Kraven?
Yeah, now that you brought it up, that's who I want. Or Mysterio.
I think Mysterio would be really cool to introduce. I'm trying to think not only what I would want, but what might make sense for, because the next appearance of Spider-Man is going to be in the Infinity War. So I was trying to think if there's any villain that might make sense to come in after that. But I think my most wanted would be to introduce Dr. Octopus as a villain that's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them introduce the Osborns, but not as villains. I want to see them introduced just as characters in Peter's life.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually build into the Green Goblin becoming a huge villainous force for Peter. But there's so many things with Spider-Man, and so many great villains and friends and sidekicks and all these characters that I feel like they missed an opportunity if they would have done like a live action Spider-Man show.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have had, of course, they would have had to tone down the budget and probably hire lesser known actors because they can't pay big names and stuff. But it would have been so great to see a show like that unfolding in the same way that they do with like The Flash or Green Arrow, so they can introduce you to all these villains and have them come back and return later on, and, you know, have them evolve and have them have storylines in themselves and stuff like that would be really interesting. But unfortunately, not a thing.
Flash is really good about that. The Flash TV series, they're really good about using their villains and spacing them out.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you. I think maybe the Chameleon. I could kind of see the Chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Chameleon would be interesting. I would love to see Mobius.
Morbius, yeah. Living vampire.
I would love to see that, dude. Yeah.
You know what would be cool with the Chameleon is like it could really have like a thriller aspect to it.
Yeah. You could use the alien tech that's been passed around illegally as kind of a way to camouflage himself.
I love the fact that all those weapons were based on alien technology. That was really cool.
That's a good way to tie it in.
Yeah.
It's kind of staying away from like, oh, everyone's just got Stark tech. It's not Stark tech anymore. It's like, oh, it's alien tech that's left over from this other movie that came out 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was a cool way to tie it in.
I'm trying to think what other villains you could introduce. Some people are saying the Lizard, but I think they're going to take a break from the Lizard after Amazing Spider-Man for a while.
They should at least introduce Dr. Connors.
Yeah, well, Dr. Connors was in all 3 of the Raimi movies, but they never used him.
Yeah, he was. And they also, like, even had him in the third one. He had an extended role where he was messing with the symbiote and stuff. I think that it would be cool for them, like they did with the Mac Gargan, and they just said, like, oh, this is Mac Gargan. If they kept introducing characters like that, like I said, with Norman and Harry Osborn, and they could introduce, you know, Kurt Connors, they could even introduce, you know, Otto Octavius and other characters like this as just civilians and like players in Peter's life, and then later on have them appear as a villain or as something else, like have those characters evolve instead of just all of a sudden, boom, here's a villain. Like, have them have time to have their own story, you know?
So just to change it a little bit, say somebody has a general working knowledge of Spider-Man, knows pretty much everything, not everything, but has a general working knowledge of him. Where's a good place for like a current day reader to point them to read something and they won't get totally lost? What's something that's sort of newish, past 5 years on the shelves that somebody could get into?
Well, neither of these are going to be past 5 years, but I'm going to give you 2 points that I think are really good. If you're not telling someone to go to the very beginning, these are the 2 points that I would recommend. Number one, Ultimate Spider-Man, because it's a fresh start. It's from, you know, early 2000s, so it still feels pretty modern outside of like them all having flip phones instead of smartphones. And the clothing's a little bit outdated. The other place would be the beginning of J. Michael Straczynski's story. Now, J. Michael Straczynski's stuff, of course, did not end that well, and he had some really controversial storylines, but the beginning is very new reader friendly. I totally recommend someone to go from there and just go forward, because Marvel have been releasing so many really convenient complete collections. And I know that part of the JMS stuff is out of print now. Yeah. But if you have Marvel Unlimited or Comixology, you can still get that stuff. But if you go in print volumes, you can then go into Brand New Day, and then eventually they're going to bridge the gap into Big Time, which I guess would be a third good jumping on point.
Big Time?
Yeah, Big Time, which is Spider-Man Big Time is across 4 complete collections, and that goes straight into Superior Spider-Man.
So good. Love Superior.
So Big Time goes straight into Superior. So you could start at Big Time and finish with Superior.
You can go Big Time, and that goes into Superior, and then after that, it went back to Amazing.
Right.
The next Amazing series was where Spider-Verse happened, and then after that is the current Amazing Spider-Man series, which has been subtitled Worldwide.
Oh, right.
And that's still ongoing, and it's about to get the legacy numbering, so it's going to go back to, like, something.
Okay.
Is this, are you using this for yourself because you need Spider-Man recommendations?
Myself and other people out there that might be wanting to get into Spider-Man. Yeah. Sort of a general question. Yeah. Myself and anybody else that has a good knowledge of what's going on but wants to get into modern day stuff.
Kind of going back on what we were talking about earlier. I was just looking at villains that they could use. Tombstone.
Yeah.
Tombstone would be pretty good.
Tombstone would be good if they wanted to tie into the Defenders, actually, I think. Because Luke Cage has had connections with Tombstone.
Yeah. Hobgoblin.
Actually, Hobgoblin's probably one of my top Spider-Man villains, so I agree.
I hope they really make a Venom movie. That's what I want.
Because they're doing the one that's coming out, but it apparently is not connected.
No, it is.
But then it is, and then it's not, and then it is, and then it's not.
Well, the last update, because Jesus, Jess and I were reporting on this for the new show. Like we had a different story.
Yeah.
The last update was that it's tied in, but it's like the Defenders and that part of their universe where they don't really mention it. So it's set in the universe, but they don't really mention it. Was the last thing that we talked about.
The last thing I saw was when like Kevin Feige came out and was like, "It's not connected," and basically completely shut down the Amy Pascal, I think, who said that it was.
Did you see that interview? It looked like he could shoot lasers out of his eyes just staring at her.
Yeah, I remember the internet like kind of went crazy and was making GIFs and stuff of it. Yeah, he just completely shut it down and was like, "No, it's not related." And then she said, "It's in the same, like." The way she said it made it seem like she was trying to say it's like an alternate universe in the same continuum or something.
Yeah.
Which that's just seems like they're trying to shoehorn it in somehow. But I know that they also announced that they're doing that movie Silver and Black, which is like Silver Sable and Black Cat. And that sounds like a fucking mess.
They want to do, Sony wants to do this Spider-Man connected universe, and it's just no. I'm sorry.
It's because the Silver and Black. When they first announced it, and then they gave like a rundown of everything that was going to be in it, and there was like 8 characters. It was like they're going to introduce Silver Sable, Black Cat, Tombstone, I know was one of them, and a whole handful of other characters. But holy shit, like, did they not learn anything from either Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2? Like, you can't shove too many things into one movie.
Right.
Oh, the Chameleon. They wanted to use the Chameleon in there.
You know what? You want your connected universe? Do Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Just do that and make it a comedy.
God, I love that book.
Yeah, just do that. Make it a comedy. Have fun with it. Make it a $30 million movie because you don't really need to put that much into it, and just have fun with it. Let them run wild with it.
Yeah, I love that book. It would make a great movie. Who would play the head of that gangster?
Silvio Silvermane. I love Silvio Silvermane. He's on a race car. His head's on a race car the whole time.
I know. That's so great.
Oh, that's such a brilliant book. It's such an underrated gem.
Yeah.
I want them to give Spencer's Ant-Man a similar Omni treatment because it's kind of the same, in the same vein.
Is it still going? Is it still ongoing?
No, it's been done for a long time, actually.
Because that was kind of a spiritual successor to Superior Foes. In fact, superior villains from Superior Foes popped up in that book.
I think a couple of them did.
Yeah.
But it was pretty separated. But there was a couple of them did pop in. At least the Beetle.
Yeah, the Beetle popped in.
It was just a kind of a similar tone. It was funny.
Oh, it was?
I love Grizzly.
That one.
And it's what? Spencer's Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spencer's Ant-Man.
I love Grizzly in it. He's hilarious.
Can I go into that book cold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was launched specifically because they wanted to market on the Ant-Man movie when it was coming out. And it lasted. The first series was like 5 issues or something, and then Secret Wars happened, and then they went to a second series, like Astonishing Ant-Man or something like that, and that ran for a solid amount of issues before it ended.
Are they both collected?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Across like maybe 3 or 4 paperbacks, something like that.
Okay, great. I will get that.
It's pretty good. Yeah, if you like Superior Foes, there's a pretty strong chance that you'll dig the Ant-Man series.
Good, yeah, I love Superior Foes.
I just want Speed Demon in a movie.
Do we do we have anything else important that we need to cover about Spider-Man before we go? Do we have? Does anyone have any like other just favorite Spider-Man stories that you just got to talk about?
Off the top of my head, no. But I will say I think they didn't stick the landing for the classic Steve Ditko and Stan Lee issue 38 moment in the movie.
Yeah.
And for me, they didn't stick that moment. Like they tried, and it didn't resonate as much as that moment does with me.
Jess, do you have any Spider-Man runs yourself that you think you would recommend to people?
Well, I loved the Dave Michelini, Todd McFarlane run. I remember reading that back in the 90s or late 80s, the 90s, whenever that came out. I loved those stories. So I would.
But you hated when Todd McFarlane started his own series.
I did not dig the writing on that, no. But I like Dave Michelini's writing, and if you can find that Omnibus, or maybe it's available in trade paperbacks, I recommend that because I really dug those stories. I was really into collecting those.
How did you not like Todd McFarlane's writing? He's writing and directing the new Spawn movie without Spawn really in it.
Wow, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you really said there. What?
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
We're going to cover this on the news tomorrow, folks.
Oh, okay.
Me and Jess are going to talk about that on the Patreon news show that we got.
Holy smoke.
Yeah. We'll touch on it more, but he's writing, directing a Spawn movie with a $30 million budget. No, it was I think it was even less. And Spawn is barely in the movie. The movie centers around Twitch.
Huh.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I continue to recommend Spider-Man by Dave Michelini, and I remember liking the Eric Larson stories too with Dave Michelini.
I like Eric Larson as well. I really like his artwork because being a Spider-Man fan from the era that I'm in, we all pretty much love Venom.
Yeah.
And while Todd may have designed Venom at first, it was, Eric Larson's version of the Venom, which kind of resonated into the way we see him now.
Right. I remember you saying that before.
I love that.
Yeah.
With the big, just mangly looking, ugly jaw and the gross teeth and the long, spindly tongue and stuff like that.
Didn't he have stuff growing out of him too? Well, like bits of things. Just he was all bumpy.
I think he did that as well. And then later, I guess Mark Bagley, however you say his name, took over on art, and he had his own version of that, and of course introduced Carnage as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into total 90s Spider-Man, which 90s Spider-Man that's my Spider-Man. So while most people, retreat with fear for the Clone Saga and Maximum Carnage, that's what I was soaked in when I grew up.
Oh, so Maximum Carnage is not good? I mean, do people...
Carnage, by any means, I love that crossover. It's ridiculous and so fun, but as far as I've ever seen, people just hate on it.
Okay.
I guess popularly it's not considered to be good, but it's one of my... I guess now I see it as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It's what we grew up on.
Yeah, I really dug it. It was one of the first maybe 25 collected like paperback comics that I got when I started really buying American stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh man, I had like half of the issues of that when I was growing up. I really want to finally read the whole thing and see what happened there. And it was just great.
Okay. Good.
Well, I don't really have much else to say on this topic, so I don't know if y'all have anything else you need to talk about, or if we should just start wrapping it up.
I'm cool with wrapping it up unless anybody has questions they want to try and ask us.
What about you, Luis?
I'm perfectly fine with rapping, you know?
All right. Well, I hope everyone was perfectly satisfied. I hope this was a perfectly cromulent episode of
it embiggened my soul.
Good. Well, this perfectly cromulent episode about Arachnid-Guy tonight has been a lot of fun. And now I kind of I want to watch the new movie again, and I'm looking even more forward to seeing how they expand on that character's universe.
Ditto.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for both being here. Jess, tell them where they can find you.
They can find me, OmniDog, on YouTube at OmniDog's Vault. And I am also a member on Riley's page, his Facebook page, the Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community. Boom! Nailed it.
Golf clap. And Luis, what about yourself?
Give me a second. You go first, Riley. My dog won't shut up now for like a minute.
Well, I actually remembered something I forgot to talk about in the show, because I wasn't on last week, but we did the poll, the DC Most Wanted Omni poll. I did all the tallies and got all the votes and stuff. I've been talking about it in the previous episodes and asking people to vote and tell us what all y'all wanted to see. And so we had our top Most Wanted DC Omnis, and I don't know who in the world didn't see this coming, but the number one was Swamp Thing by Alan Moore.
I can't believe it wasn't Sugar and Spike.
I was surprised that Sugar and Spike made it on the list, let alone as high as it did.
That was cutting edge stuff, man.
Now you know what? Let's hold off on closing this for a couple minutes. Let's go through this list of the top 50. I just want some quick
top 50.
I just want a quick little reaction. Okay, so I'm gonna run through these, starting with 50, going down to number 1. All right, Bronze Age Spectre, Volume 1. Golden Age Plastic Man. Ah, crap, my thing froze. Power of Shazam by Gary Ordway. Batman Adventures, so the one based on the cartoon. Lobo. Batman by Paul Dini. Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison. Legion of Superheroes Silver Age Volume 2.
Yes.
Superman Post-Burn, which is the first thing that showed up on this list that is actually getting an omnibus in the Superman Exile omnibus. Nightwing by Chuck Dixon. Go back up to the next list. Sorry, I have these all articles are not in order. Number 40, Bronze Age Justice League Volume 2. Wonder Woman by George Perez Volume 3. Justice League International Volume 2, because Volume 1 got announced already. Action Comics by Grant Morrison. Animal Man Volume 2 being Vertigo material. Superman The Triangle Years. Booster Gold, the post-New 52 series. Seven Soldiers of Victory by Grant Morrison. Silver Age Hawkman. 31, Sugar and Spike.
Woohoo! Top 31. 31 flavors.
I was so surprised it made it that far.
Yes.
31. That's crazy.
No, it was a cutting edge, awesome, funny book.
A lot of people wanted it. 30 was Our Army at War featuring Sergeant Rock.
I can't believe that beat out Batman by what was it? Paul Dini.
Yeah. Justice League by Jeff Johns. Batman No Man's Land Volume 1. Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. Silver Age Aquaman. Secret 6 by Gail Simone. Golden Age Captain Marvel. Or Shazam to you young kids out there.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka. Jonah Hex by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray.
Ooh,
Bronze Age Jonah Hex. And go up to the next one.
All Jonah Hex. I like anything Jonah Hex.
Yeah, both of those Jonah Hexes made it pretty high. Superman by Jeff Johns, Aquaman by Peter David, Catwoman by Ed Brubaker, Hellblazer by Garth Ennis, Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello, Hitman by Garth Ennis, Aquaman by Jeff Johns, Suicide Squad by John Ostrander, Spectre by John Ostrander, Green Lantern Corps Volume 1, having the Gibbons and Tomasi material from the series that ran subsequently to Jeff Johns' run. Starman by James Robinson, so actual Omnis, not the ones that we have now. Animal Man by Jeff Lemire, Green Arrow by Mike Grell, Flash by Mark Waid, The Question by Denny O'Neil. Let's see.
What are we at?
Number 5, Batman by Snyder and Capullo, JLA by Grant Morrison, Superman by John Byrne, number 2, Batman by Grant Morrison, and then, of course, like I said, number 1, Swamp Thing by Alan Moore.
Nice.
My question to you is, what is wrong with you people? Sugar and Spike over Batman, Paul Dini's Batman?
Shut your whore mouth. That's totally deserved.
I think that there's some interesting things that are going to happen when I do this next year. Number 1, one of the members of our group, Jeff Dyer, who has apparently a friend who works in DC's collected edition department, mentioned that he showed his friend the list, and his friend said, quote, interesting, and that several of the books on the list are going to be published within the next year or something. So that's cool, number 1. Number 2, now that this list has come out and people know some of the items that are out there that people have been voting on, I think that we're going to see a lot of different stuff next year. Because people are going to be like, oh, man, I also would love to see Paul Dini. Yeah. And then they'd vote on that, for instance. And I'm wanting to release a list of, like, 51 through 100 just to show people what else was on there. There was almost 300 individual series that were voted for. So there's a lot of different books that people wanted to see voted on. But just people who didn't vote, like there wasn't a lot of Silver Age that made it on, or a lot of Golden Age that made it on there, because the people who were voting for those things were voting for completely different books. And there wasn't any like Legion on there, except for the one Silver Age one, because so many people voted for Legion books, but they didn't vote for the same ones, so nothing got up high. So I'm thinking there might be a little bit more of a movement for certain things, so there might be a completely different list next year. But anyway, that's all I wanted to share. I just wanted to touch base on that real quick. Luis, where can they find you?
You can find me at Hardcover Reviews, where I post videos up on a weekly basis. I've been doing a lot of stuff lately, change the format, move things around, all that good stuff. You can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/hardcoverreview, facebook.com/hardcoverreviews. And if you want to support my channel, you want to help a brother out, big things are probably going to be happening in the next few months in regards to everything that's going on over here. So with that said, I could use the extra support. And yeah, patreon.com/hardcoverreviews, where you can get the Jessen Hardcover News Show for $5 a month, every week. And we're going to be recording tomorrow at some point. So it'll be the new one will be up tomorrow. We're going to be discussing everything Comic-Con. There was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something controversial, man. I'm going to promise you that.
We usually go for about an hour, but I could easily see tomorrow going a little more longer than that, about an hour and a half, with everything we have to cover.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good.
I'll bring my snarky opinions with me.
Yeah.
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 Well, I have no opinions on anything that matter.
Jesus. Okay, we're gonna go on a low note.
Now that we're off to a flying stop.
Yeah. No, well, I guess you can find me not really anywhere, because I don't do anything anymore. Now that we have this channel, I don't post anything on my channel. So yeah, cool. And now that I finished the DC poll, I'm probably not going to post anything on my site for a while either. So yay. on top of all that, I never really post in the Facebook group. So you will never hear from me again is basically what I'm saying. For those of you who dislike me, that's good news for you. For the few of you who still actually like me, I'm really sorry, but you can still, talk to me personally, like all my other friends and people who actually like me do, and we just do group chats on Facebook and talk shit about everyone who hates us. We're catty teenagers in high school from the Mean Girls movie or something. This is my life.
What Riley's trying to say is that this is his last episode, and like Poochie,
I quit.
His home planet.
Poochie.
And I quit. And we'll end this one with a note like, and that was the last we saw of Riley. Yeah, I'll actually, I'm probably going to skip next week because I'm going to be in Mexico, and I really doubt that I'll be able to get on camera.
Yeah, use that Mexican signal they got out there.
Drink that Mexican Coke.
Oh yeah. We're gonna be hanging at an all-inclusive resort. I'm gonna bring some books. I'm gonna read while I'm there. So hopefully, I don't completely drop the ball like I always do, and I actually come back and can talk about some books instead of bullshitting about why I didn't read this week.
Wait, isn't next week the trivia one?
I guess it'll have to be the following.
I will be doing trivia.
Huh?
I guess I won't be there.
We'll have to do it the week after then, because we need 5 of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for next week.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I will be there eventually for the trivia one. But yeah, I mean next week I won't do that. But I'm gonna bring books with me along to Mexico. I'm gonna catch up on all those issues. I'm gonna do some good stuff, and I'll come back and be rejuvenated and in a better mood. I'm already in a better mood than I was last week because I took a nice little mental health day, both from the show and from work. So that was nice.
Good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Back feeling good. Yeah, Jess saw me like making some pretty low comments.
Yeah,
about myself.
I was worried.
Yeah, he checked up on me like a day or two later. But anyway, sorry for rambling on about bullshit, but that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that y'all think better of our show than I do, and that y'all, like 5 of y'all actually like me. Anyway, that's it. Webheads and wall crawlers. We'll see you guys. I won't see you guys next week, but several of us will.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Adios.